What's up, my lunatics? Welcome back to my channel. But if it's your first time, my name is Anastasia Luna, and welcome to you too. Alright guys, this is going to be the first video of the new format of the videos for my channel. I'm still going to be doing reaction videos, I'm still going to be doing live streams, I'm still going to be doing all that stuff, but I really want to start talking about the history, biography and discography of the bands. Because when we talk about bigger bands, something like Nightwish, you know, there are documentaries about them. There's a lot of information about them. But smaller bands, and in no way I'm referring to Jinjer. Jinjer is a massive world-known band. In general, smaller bands, they don't really get as much love from like journalists and documentary creators and biographers, and I feel like they should, and there's none of that stuff on YouTube. So what I'm gonna try to do here, I'm just gonna sit and talk about the history of the band. I'm not a biographer, I'm not a journalist, I'm not a researcher of any kind. For us YouTubers, metalheads, I feel like the more we talk about metal, the better the chance we will be able to interest someone in metal. And again, guys, I'm not a biographer, I'm not a journalist. I'm just gonna talk about the band. I've watched a few interviews with Jinjer. I've seen them live. I watched numerous performances and music videos on YouTube. So I'm just gonna give them love and talk about their history and where they come from and who plays in the band and name all the band members. And we're just gonna talk about Jinjer today. Jinjer comes from Ukraine, from Donetsk, but the very first Jinjer, the very first band, was actually formed in 2008. But the current lineup of the band considers 2009 as the starting point for Jinjer because nobody from the lineup from 2008 is in the band anymore. So 2009 is the official year of the creation of Jinjer. And that's actually the year when Tatiana, who is the lead singer, joined the band, and also the guitarist Roman Ibram Khalilov. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Both of them joined the band in 2008. A little bit earlier, the band added the bassist by the name of Eugene Abdukanov and drummer Vladislav Yulasevich. So let's talk really quick about the very first band, Jinjer, that was formed in 2008. It was formed by the singer Maxim Futulayev. Guitarist Dmitry Oxen. Bassist Alexei Svinar and drummer Vyacheslav Akremenko. That's the lineup that actually released their very first EP that consisted of 4 songs, and the name of the EP was The Objects in the Mirror Are Closer Than They Appear. then in 2009, the lead singer Maxim Futullaev was replaced by Tatiana Shmaluk, and Roman Ibrakalimov joined on the second guitar. So I want to stop right here and talk a little bit about Tatiana and how she started singing and how she started growling, because I watched I don't know how many million interviews with her in preparation for this video. So she actually started growling and singing long time ago. She heard Opeth and was like, oh my god, who is he? And turned out that it's a she, and that's where obsession with extreme vocals and growls and all that good stuff actually started. So Tatiana always said that she was in multiple bands, sometimes in 3 bands at the same time, which is like, can you imagine singing and growling in 3 bands? And then she joined the band that she thought would actually make it, and then they broke up. And that was such a knife to her throat, and she swore to herself that she will never sing in a band. And I can only imagine how hard it is to be in a band at such a young age. She never said how old she was, but at that time, but I'm sure probably a teenager or very young. And it was such a hard break for her when the band broke up, and she tried to get the band members together, but it wasn't in the stars. And that's when she swore to herself that she will never sing in a band. She did some solo stuff, and actually I found out that she always wanted to dance. So dance was kind of her first door into the art of music, dance, singing, all of that. And then she realized that she can actually sing, and then she heard Opeth, and that's when obsession with growling and extreme vocals and all of that started. But then her friend who was in Jinjer, he was like, why don't you come sing with us? And of course, she didn't say no. And that's how Jinjer was actually born. So technically, guys, we almost lost Tatiana in terms of like extreme vocalist, because if she stayed true to her promise to herself to never sing in a band, she might not be who she is now. So I'm very happy, and I'm sure you guys are very happy that she broke that promise and joined Jinjer, and now we can all enjoy their music.
You are gone to walk your road that you can hear wanting more.
All right, fast forward to 2011. Alexei Svinara, who was original bassist of the original Jinjer in 2008, he was replaced by Eugene Abdukhanov, while Akremenko was replaced by Alexander Kozychuk. And that lineup actually released their own EP, Inhale, Don't Breathe.
Next time I'm here, the last one, you lock it down. Don't stop to go, another road is going down. Midnight glass is hell, it's fucking futile. We on the highway, we scared to turn away, ignoring our fear that objects and mirror were closer.
And then they started touring using their own funds, which I think is absolutely amazing. And I remember Tatiana was talking about how hard it actually was to tour using their own funds, because there's no, according to them, there's no hardcore metal scene in Donetsk. So they actually had to travel outside or travel closer to the European countries that border with Ukraine. But the thing is that Donetsk is all on the other side of Ukraine. So even to go to Poland that borders with Ukraine, you first have to cross the entire Ukraine, which is not a small country. So can you imagine young kids, I don't know how old they were at that time, probably very young. Can you imagine crossing the country, going into another country? That's enormous amount of funds, and I'm so happy that they did that, because Jinjer has such a distinct style. You can play me a song that I don't know and I will be like, oh, that's Jinjer, because I feel like they broke into that like family unit. They toured together, they suffered together. And she was saying, we had nothing to eat. It's amazing to hear the stories of musicians that literally would like work and travel for food. So after all of that relentless touring, they were actually noticed by a record label by the name The Leaders Records, and that was in the late 2012. So they re-released their EP Inhale Don't Breathe in 2013 in an extended format, and they included 3 live tracks. And that's, I feel like, the year where they started being recognized by general public, because that was the year when they won the award, the best Ukrainian metal act, and that was held by Kyiv's Insha Musica label in 2013. Then they would win the same award in 2016. All right, and then Jinjer self-released their full album, and that was already in 2014. And the album was called Cloud Factory. And that's actually the album that would be re-released by the record label that they are signed by now. And of course, it's Napalm Records. Who else? Also on that album, Cloud Factory, the new drummer was featured by the name Yevhen Mantulin. And that's when Jinjer started really unveiling their power. That's when they started touring internationally, obviously domestically. And that was already 2015. So the final remaining founding member of the band, Dmitry Oksin, departed in 2015. And he was not replaced. After a few world tours, they released their second full-length album, The King of Everything, and that was already 2016. And that was the single Pisces. And Pisces shot them to the stratosphere along with I Speak Astronomy. And the person by the name Dmitry Kim actually served as a drummer on this album. In 2021, Metal Hammer placed Pisces at number 74 on their list, the 100 greatest metal songs of the 21st century, which is huge. Can you imagine a band from Donetsk that toured using their own funds? Sometimes didn't have money to eat is number 74 on the list of the 100 greatest metal songs of the 21st century. I think it's huge, almost unreachable, and I don't even know how they did this. Right after the release of King of Everything, the drummer LunaStories, he joined the band, and the band has been stable ever since, which we all are very happy about. In 2017, Jinjer is joining Arch Enemy on their tour and joining Cradle of Filth and doing their first North American tour. In 2018, they re-released and reissued their album Cloud Factory with Napalm Records, followed by release of 5-track EP Micro in January 2019.
Good evening, kids. Take your seats, open up your Bibles. I'm gonna chase on survival, so keep your eyes wide open. The young soul lost control, make your first fall. This is my duty to set the bounds. She clapped my hand, took me and placed me in front of a glass. She gave a hint, I wasn't glow of the mass.
In 2019, they released their album Macro, and that album has a lot of different influences from reggae, from jazz, from a lot of different styles.
I keep on losing the keys from reality, and now I'm passing on the well to insanity. And also clouded color, waiting for my time to come.
And again, I watched a few interviews with Jinjer, and they don't really even consider themselves metal. It's experimental progressive rock, and it's really, really awesome. But you can hear that in their music. There's just so much in their music besides metal. And I love that merging of styles. I love the fact that die-hard metalheads love them, even though they incorporate so many different styles into their music.
Is Jinjer metal?
No. Not pure metal, you know, not 100% metal, or not the 666% metal, but definitely it's not pure. It's mixed with other genres.
Lord Wire named that album one of the 50 best metal albums in 2019. It's like going from a word to a word to a tour to a tour. It's like you're reading their biography, you're watching them grow, and it's like a step up, a step up, a step up, step up. It's never stagnant, you know. And it's I mean, to me, they are already so high up. They're already like on the level of gods. So I'm just so excited to see how much more they can go up. In November 2020, they released the live album that was called Alive in Melbourne, and then they released another full-length album, Wallflowers. It was August 27, and then Lord Wire ranked them number 21 of the best metal rock albums of that year.
Avoiding people and fall in love with solitude. They won't find me in my shop. The chances go to zero. I'm a guest in my own skin. I take it off and be myself.
Right now, Jinjer is touring North America. Right now, it's 2022, going on 2023. If you're watching this in 2023, I've seen Jinjer 2 times. One time in Connecticut about a year and a half ago, and last time I saw them in New York in Hammerstein Ballroom. They were touring with another 4 bands, and they killed it. I love the venue. I love everything. Let's take a look. The show was off the hook. It was awesome, awesome, awesome. So now I have a couple cool facts that I just felt that might be interesting for you guys that I saw and heard them saying during their interviews. Tatiana loves, loves, loves improvisation. I think it stems from the fact that she's self-taught and never had any lessons. She says it herself that she doesn't warm up. She has no technical training. Whatever technique she has, she gathered it herself. She trained herself. So she writes songs for Jinjer, and she is self-proclaimed procrastinator. She does everything in the last minute, and sometimes she writes a song, she writes the lyrics, and then she has to go to the studio the next day. So she goes to the studio completely unprepared, but then somehow magic happens because that's how good she is with improvisation. And I envy people like this. I think it's so, so awesome to be able to improvise on the fly, not knowing what you're doing. And Jinjer's music is very complicated, and Tatiana said it herself in multiple interviews that when the guys give her the instrumental, because guys do instrumentals without her and then they give it to her and then she writes lyrics and melodies, and she's like, what are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? I mean, what is this? And you guys know Jinjer's music goes up and down, turns left, right, upside down. It's crazy complicated. So she's like, I'm gonna do it later, I'm gonna do it later, I'm gonna do it later. Then she's not doing it, but then she goes to the studio and magic happens. I envy this so much because when I sing, when I write, I have to rehearse every single little thing. So I've always been jealous of people like her that can actually improvise and create real magic. There's a fun story about her neck tattoo. She went to the tattoo artist and he was actually very rude to her and asked her if she brought any painkillers because neck tattoos are pretty painful. And she said, no, but I thought tattoo artists have numbing creams, all of that. And he was really rude to her and basically told her to suck it up. And Tatiana, being Tatiana, was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna suck it up. And she was like, it wasn't even painful, which I think is actually really cool. I mean, a girl comes to your studio and you don't even have numbing cream and it's a neck tattoo, and you saw her neck tattoo, right? It's huge and it's a serpent. And I think she said it has something to do with different Mexican myths and stories. And she's like a sucker, self-proclaimed sucker for Mexican mythology and like all those like ghost and witch stories, which I think is actually very interesting. She was once asked where she would love to live, if she could live anywhere, and she was so confused where she wants to live because first she said Canada. She's like, okay, I think Canada. And she was like, I've actually been thinking about going to Canada. But then she was like, South America. And then she was like, Japan. And then she got confused between all the countries. But I think she settled on Canada. So if Tatiana moves anywhere, it's probably going to be Canada. Surprisingly, she says that she's actually very shy and it stops her from a lot of things in life. Sometimes she is shy to voice her opinion or say something, which is really crazy because she is such a hellraiser on stage and you would have never thought that she's actually a shy, introverted person. But I guess that's kind of like a thing across the board when it comes to, it's not just about metal. When it comes to like any kind of art, when you go on stage, that's your persona. That's like you turn into a different character, you play a character, and then you come off stage and you are actually a completely different person, and that person is very different from the stage persona. Another really cool thing that I always was thinking, what is Jinjer? What does Jinjer mean? And I thought there's like this huge philosophical meaning behind it. There's like, I will write like essay about it and talk about this, and apparently it means nothing.
What does Jinjer mean?
Obviously, Jinjer doesn't mean anything. And the title was created way before I joined the band.
And definitely way before I joined the band.
Yeah, so there is no person here right now in this room or on this tour or whatever who created that. So yeah, Jinjer doesn't mean anything, and we had to make up our own explanation. So it's just like a sound of distorted guitar.
Jinjer.
There's no meaning to it. It's just a name of the band. Another fun fact, which actually I loved hearing that. Somebody asked if Jinjer is a satanic band, which I don't know who would ever ask that, because like they can be further away from like being satanic. And the bassist and the singer Tatiana, they said it's actually atheistic. So I concluded from that they're actually atheists and I'm an atheist. So that was actually a really cool fact. So yes, Jinjer is atheistic and Jinjer doesn't mean anything. So my favorite song by Jinjer is actually Perennial. I love that song. That's my all-time favorite song. So let's take a listen.
The exhausted nature is so tragic and so suicidal. All spectacular tears will check yourself. Death blows are slowly crawling to the toes. Merciless is falling off her head.
I don't know what it does something to me. I absolutely love that song. Alright guys, and that was a quick small story about Jinjer. Again, if I missed something, don't crucify me. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a documentary creator. I just wanted to talk about Jinjer. I absolutely love Jinjer, and I feel like more people need to know about them. So all of you fans of Jinjer, in the comments, please write any kind of interesting facts, any kind of things that I missed, anything that you want people to know. So we have this whole information with video and comments about Jinjer. And also guys, if you like this format, please let me know. I would love to talk more about bands. I would love to bring more awareness to metal in the United States. I would love to talk about biography of different metal bands that are not necessarily as hugely popular that there are documentaries made about them. So let me know if this is something that you want to see on my channel, and stay tuned for some more metal.
From the ashes of my rights, the new day will rise to live again. This is poetry of you. This is poetry of me and you. From the ashes of my rights, the new day will rise to live again. This is poetry